It's now my great pleasure to move to a very special part of the program. It's been a FELS tradition for some time to ask two students, one full-time and one executive student, to reflect a bit about their experience here at FELS as they renew their careers. And I'd like to ask to lead off Miriam to step forward. Miriam graduated summa cum laude from the University of Massachusetts in 2006, receiving awards for academic excellence and public service. Since graduation, she's been employed at the Food Trust in Philadelphia, where she currently manages a multi-state campaign to make fresh and healthy food more widely available. She's had an outstanding career at FELS and is receiving today the Academic Achievement Award for having the highest GPA in her graduating class. Miriam?
Good afternoon, everyone. It's really great to be here. There's something about reaching the end that makes me think about the beginning. As I was preparing to write this speech, I found myself thinking back to that warm Saturday in September that I walked into this building for the very first time to attend orientation. I was enrolled in just one Monday evening elective that semester as a non-degree student, and not yet even applied to the master's program. But aptly sensing my curiosity or the possibilities that lay ahead for me, Professor Mulhern invited me to attend the orientation that Saturday to learn more about the executive program and to meet my fellow classmates. I remember feeling like a bit of an imposter as I walked into the building that day. Not only was I not yet a degree candidate, but as a 25-year-old just starting to work my way up the organizational ladder at the nonprofit where I had been working since college, I wasn't exactly accustomed to thinking of myself and the word executive as belonging to the same sentence. What impressed me the most that day, what I enthusiastically gushed about to my mom on my cell phone as I walked home with my first of many FELS messenger bags, was you. Classmates, you are an impressive bunch. You come to FELS from Wall Street and from Capitol Hill. You have started nonprofits and led political campaigns. You are teachers and financial consultants, former Peace Corps volunteers and military veterans. As one by one, the students in the room, many of whom now stand with me here today and who I'm fortunate to call friends, introduced themselves, I knew that there was something special going on here, something that I wanted to be a part of. Classmates, you haven't disappointed. Today, as I think upon what has truly defined my experience at FELS, I find myself again and again coming back to you, to the incredibly diverse group of professionals that I've had the opportunity to work with over these past few years. In many respects, we couldn't be more different. We are Republicans and Democrats. We advise elected officials, develop affordable housing, and analyze bond markets. And yet, for the past 2+ years, we have all chosen to take time out of our hectic lives and busy schedules as equity traders and nonprofit administrators, parents, and community organizers, and to spend every Saturday and countless evenings here, together, struggling with multiple regression equations and Professor Mulhern's scenarios. We have huddled around conference tables until 11 o'clock at night, engaged in fierce debates over whether to cut the budget of the streets department or reduce the frequency of trash collection in a fictional city, as we slowly chipped away at a daunting budget shortfall and constructed a balanced municipal budget. We have worked together to craft legislation on immigration reform and develop a STEM speech to pitch to Rahm Emanuel, or in this case, to Professor Thornburg, playing a frighteningly convincing Rahm Emanuel. Managing to overcome, at times, significant partisan and ideological differences. Today we stand here together, defined not by what sets us apart, but by our common commitment to public service. As FELS students, we see a world that is not quite as perfect as it could be, and we ask ourselves, what can we do better? We see war and armed conflicts tearing apart communities across the globe. We see hunger and homelessness, hatred, and homophobia right here in Philadelphia. We see rising deficits and crumbling infrastructure projects. And while we may not always agree on how to solve these problems, or even on what the solutions look like, we do not shy away from tough questions or allow ourselves to throw up our hands simply because of the magnitude of the challenges that we confront. By now, as we just heard, you know that FELS prides itself on being the most practical public administration program in the Ivies. As I reflect upon what these words mean to me and the experiences that we have shared over the past few years, I know that we have gained more than an understanding of how to calculate revenue projections and construct logic models. We have also seen that while it's not always easy, crafting meaningful solutions takes all of us. Classmates, as each of you takes this next step forward in your lives, as professionals dedicated to making the world a little more perfect, I hope that this is something that you will carry with you. Whether you are going on to tackle challenges in public finance, or considering running for elected office, or like me, working to bring better food choices to lower income neighborhoods, I hope that you will carry with you a commitment to stepping outside the usual boundaries of party, class, or sector, to breaking down silos, and to challenging your own assumptions. My grandfather, Sidney Manikovsky, who's here with us today, spent more than 30 years working in government for the Department of Defense. He joined the Army after the Second World War and retired as a civilian in 1972 as Chief of Procurement at the Defense Supply Agency. I'm proud of my Saba's military and civilian service and thrilled that he could be here just a few months before his 90th birthday, as I take the next step forward in my own career in public service. For many of us graduating today, our paths will look quite a bit different from those of our parents and grandparents. Many of us will have careers that take us in and out of government, nonprofits, and the private sector. Some of us have already made these transitions. Classmates, wherever we find ourselves in the days and years ahead, I know that the path we have chosen is not always going to be easy. I know that there will be days when I will wonder if I'm really making any difference at all. Days when I will think that if only everyone could just think a little more like me, it would all be so much simpler. I'm sure that each of you will experience your own doubts and frustrations. But I would suggest that on these days, you remember that once, in a classroom in West Philadelphia, an unlikely group of Republicans and Democrats, nonprofit managers, political advisors, and investment bankers managed to come together and develop a balanced city budget. And, if I may say so myself, craft a pretty good piece of immigration reform legislation. Classmates, I can't wait to see what else we can achieve.
Miriam Manone, Master of Public Administration.